Hello, ladies and gentlemen, back again, Baxter, I roll cigars, aka Big Cat. Last time we talked, I rolled a hard roll cigar, which means I roll it just with my hands and scissors, of course, my cutting material. And this is the outcome. It's a nice cigar and it will smoke great. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to roll a cigar in a mold which will make it almost perfect. This is the type of cigars you get when you buy them in cigar stores and they look all perfect. That's because they're molded like that. The practice is, once you roll the cigar, with your first wrap, your binder, you stuff it in the mold. You let it sit in the mold. You can do it for 30 minutes. You can do it all night if you want to. 30 minutes, then you flip that cigar in the mold, like this. You take it out and flip it. And put it back in the mold and close it back down and put clamps on it or whatever you do. The reason for that is because the first time you put it in the mold and clamp it down, it's going to have these edges on the side of it, which is indicative of the shape of the mold here. So when you flip it over, it rounds it out. So about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or all night if you want to. You can keep it in this mold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll one and stick it in the mold. And because you saw that I already have some in the mold, I'll take it out and show you how it will look perfect when it's finally done. So let's get started. Of course, you take your tobacco. I'm going to do the Cuban roll this time. Last time you saw me do this, I did the blocking, which Cubans do that too. But this is the way I'm doing it this time. So like you roll it in separate little tubes. And this really makes that tobacco really smoke great. Now what I'm also doing is I'm using nothing but Colombian seco, which will make a smooth smoking cigar. And this right here will be one great smoking cigar because it's going to be really smooth. Seco is one of the most smoothest tobacco that's rolled in cigars, is cheapest smoke. And it really is a good smoke. It's like smoking calm air with a taste. So, as you can see, I've started my roll. Now, I'm gonna glue it down and clip the end. Find those loose ends. Sometimes they end up in weird places, but that's okay. Now, I'm gonna take my cutter, find that sweet spot, and I will clip it right there. All right, now, give it a nice little trim to make that the end that you put in your mouth rounded off. You go back, because there's always another end that needs to be glued down. There's two, because you're using 2/2 of your leaf to make that binder. So always look for that. That's when you come on back, give it a scoop. Then you break out your mold. You take your mold, you take your cigar, you take your rounded end, put it in this rounded end. And you just easily stick it down in there. After you roll it down in there. Now don't worry if it don't look all pretty when it's going down there, because it's going to definitely look pretty when it comes out. Because that mold does its thing. As you can see, I'll wrap this one next. See how that looks? Look at that. It's like perfect, and it doesn't have its final wrap yet. Now, to be honest with you, I've had this cigar in this mold for probably about a few days before I made this video. But that's okay, because you could literally smoke it just like this. But we're gonna put the wrap on it. So, what I'm gonna do is sit this out and I'll show you. You put your mold on, your mold top on, press it down, and I use these little clamps. People who deal with tools know where they come from. Don't say nothing, deal with it. All right, right there we'll clamp it down and mold that cigar. So sit it aside and let it sit there for 20, 30 minutes or however I like. Now, next step, we're gonna put a wrap on this already pre-pressed cigar. Now, I'm looking at my final wrap, and I'm going to give it just a little bit of moisture, because sometimes these leaves, the longer you keep them, the drier they get. I mean, I do mist them in the bag, but sometimes, you know, it depends on how long you keep your leaves. You still have issues with moisture, but we'll fix that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with my blade. I'm going to cut these little ends off, these little sharp ends. You don't want those on there. I'm going to get them off here because they can wreak havoc at your end roll. But like I always say, there is no such thing as a bad cigar. Once it's rolled, it's rolled. And if you've seen many cigars, some of them look like somebody really didn't care much, but it's just the way, the style that it's made. Just get all those little edges off so that you don't have that to deal with. All right, so we have the dark side under. The light side is the back side, which goes in a roll. The outer roll is the other side. All right, here we go. Now, we take our pressed molded cigar. And I always start early, right up here, almost where you can wrap over the edge of it. That's where I start my roll. And if you watch that, it just looks all purified. And it starts to really form. There you go. Take a look, say, okay. All right, now, I'm gonna cut it off. Right there in that little stem vein there. Give it some glue. And then finish the roll. Grab that tip and just roll it nice and slow. Nice and slow. Now I am pinching, but not pinching too hard. Give it a finger push. See how it's coming out? You just continue. And then you get a little glue. Put it right, start right there in that tip there. Because that right there is going to help you with your finish. Now you give it a little turn, and then you take that little in there and you clip it off. And take your finger and turn it. There you go. See how that looks? Turn it. There we go. Now what we're going to do is, looks like see, this is what I was saying about those veins. Sometimes they can get horrendous, so you have to just be like a surgeon and go in there and just remove the hard parts of that, because they can be a pain. There you go, see? Much better. Now, all right. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the band, which I like to make a pretty broad band. And the reason why is because I'm pretty rough on cigars with my teeth, so I don't like the little, I mean, I will smoke a cigar. I've had many cigars with small bands, but when I roll myself, I roll them the way I like them. And the one the way that works for me. All right, here we go. Now, I'm gonna take this band part here. I'm gonna give it some glue. There we go. Now, this guy is glue. Now I'm gonna take this cigar and we're gonna start and just start to roll right there off the board. And all of a sudden you'll notice it'll pick it up. That glue will pick it up. And then what you do is you take and gently, but not too gentle, roll that band around and get it nice and tight. And then the top of it, just a little glue to the top, and then you start to swirl that band around like this. There you go, see? That's how it looks. See? You still have a nice band. See that band? How that band is formulating around it? See that? Finger push. Look at that. Beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so now for the cap. You take a piece of your wrap, because there's always, most of the time, there's some left. Sometimes there's a lot, sometimes it's just enough. And you take your finger and your glue, and just make yourself a swirling motion, You want to stay out of the way of the big veins. If you can find a place that doesn't have any veins, it's fine. Here's probably better. So I'm going to use a little bit more glue than I should, but just want to get the point across. All right, there we go. Now, remember this? You can make these out of anything, but this is what makes your cap. Just go around in a circle, pressing hard so you can get through, make sure you're cutting that leaf. Pop it up, take your cigar, right down the middle of that circle, and then pull the leaf away. Now, you work on your cap. So gently with your fingers, boom, 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 boom. See how that looks? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Now, I know the glue's a little shiny, but that glue will dry. Remember what I told you, this glue is, I tell you, it really tripped me out with the first time. I bought glue and it paid all that money for it. I read the instruction, realized what it was and the ingredients. I said, man. So of course, in the first video, I showed you what it is, and I'm sure you know where it comes from. All right, now, look at that. See? Beautiful cigar, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you want to cut that in. Got my little cutter here. There you go. Cut the end off of it. Look at that. That right there will be a very smooth smoking cigar. That will be good. It will be a great cigar. Look at that roll. That is how you roll a molded cigar, which you always have success with that because they come out perfectly. But you're a professional if you can do it just with your hands. And that's what I am. Peace.